Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles. I got something to show you. Come here, Kurt. Let's take a peek at this. See that position? See how she's moved all that litter away? She's got that tail tucked up underneath. The snake's had his prelay shed and everything else. Oh, don't light me up, girlie. I'm just showing you off. She is getting close to laying eggs. Really close. Really close. Let's keep looking. Oh, this snake's actually actively laying because I checked a little while ago. There's one coming out of her butt right now. 1, 2, 3, and that's number 4. We'll close her up and let her finish the job. How cool is that? Guys, I'll be honest. That was a total surprise. We didn't know that was going to happen. We were just going to show you something getting ready to lay to introduce the video and the point of it, but that's really cool. She's dropping them now. So that is awesome. Let's see if we can get another one that's doing it, because that'd be really cool. This is the other one that's really close. She is not dropping yet, but you can just see she's in position, ready to rock. For the record, the snake that's dropping eggs is one of our Mojaves paired to our GHI. That'll mean our 2 Mojaves will be our first to lay. Our other Mojave already laid 7 eggs that we already set up, and that was paired to a Mystic Potion. So really cool. So what today's video is about is, and again, search function's great, guys, because this is a video we've been asked to do a few times, and we've done it before, but we probably do a better job now, and we kind of changed a little bit, so it's probably best for us to redo it anyway. But we have done some of this stuff before, but we are going to show you the Olympus Reptiles method for setting up egg tubs. Okay, the Olympus Reptiles method. Does that mean I invented it? No, I stole it. I would like to give credit to who I stole it from. I don't remember who I stole it from. I found it from somewhere on the forums on the internet way back in the way back. I've done some modifications to it. I like it. It works great for us. Is this the only way to incubate eggs? No. Again, there's more than one way to skin the proverbial cat, right? Believe it or not, too, that phrase is not about skinning actual living cats or dead cats. It's nothing to do with the actual feline cat. Anyway, kudos in the comment section if you know what the phrase skinning cats comes from. Let's see if somebody's got that knowledge. But we're going to show you how we set up incubation tubs. One thing I've done different is that I'm always trying to increase my success rate, right? And that is, we have about a 95% hatch rate so far. But I still always, for the egg I miss, the one I lose, always wonder, could I have done something better? And up until this year, I was kind of just eyeballing it. So I decided to set up one, get it just the way I want it, but measure while I did to get a pretty good idea, try to make each tub pretty equal. One thing is when you're working with perlite, which is what we've got here, it's a big bag of perlite. Let me show you something, okay? This is just a perlite off the shelf. I don't care what brand you get. And garden, it probably says garden food in it somewhere. I've used just all kinds. It doesn't really matter. Some people are going to say, oh, if it's got the plant food in it, it's going to kill your eggs and all this. It won't, okay? If you put your eggs directly in it, maybe. We don't put our eggs directly in it. We've never had a problem. And you take those people, and they've done a lot of breeding that say that. I'd be curious how they came to that conclusion, because we've hatched, like I say, 95% live hatch rate for the last several years using any old perlite we find, including the Miracle Grow, which I know has that. So what I do is I get about, I fill this cup up, which is about, 4 cups there. Bloop. I do that twice.
What size of tub are you using?
You know what? I don't really know. What's this on the label? I just buy a lot of these. These are about, probably about 12 quart or so. I mean, they're the standard Sterilite in that size. So we put 2 of those in there, and you can see this has got 4 cups in there. So basically a quart. So 2 quarts, roughly. I think, actually, if I remember right, we then did a half. Sorry about that. So about, and a half. And then, it's dusty. Probably should wear a mask when you do this, but, it's hard to talk in. I look funny in one, so we're just rolling with it. And then, believe it or not, it comes out to pretty much an even mixture. So we'll fill this bad boy up once. Dump that in. And now I'm going to go ahead and take one in the oven. No, it's not a cooking show, but they always do that. You never know. Like, hey, we're going to make brownies today. Then you got to cook for 20 minutes. Oh, but I've already got one done, and they pull it right out. And I'm thinking, did you really do that the exact same, or are you just leaving out one of the good ingredients so nobody does it as good as you? I don't know. That's why I'm not a cooking person. 2 cups. about 2.5 cups. Again, funny thing, it comes out being about equal. So about the same amount of water to this stuff as you want. And you're going to see water in the bottom. Okay, see that? That's a good sign. You kind of mix all this around. And I can tell you, and sometimes you'll still have to go by feel, but you want to make sure you have enough water. This, for whatever reason, it may not be absorbing as well as some of the other parallel we use, is going to have too much water. And the way I can tell that is, here's how you look. So you see my hand? I put pressure how it's just going to sink in there really easy. That's not a good sign. We'll mix it up, and that gives you two options. One, you can just add a little more of the perlite, or two, you can drain off a little water. Kurt, kick that can over here if you would. In my case, because I don't want to fill this up any more than it already is, I'm just going to drain off a little bit of water. And now, look at the difference. Okay, that little bit, get this all mixed up really good. See how it doesn't sink in this far? Now there, we're still sinking in pretty good. So just mix this up a little bit more. Probably take out just a little bit more. Oh, that's the stuff. See, now we're doing really good. Because the next thing we're going to use, and you get kind of gross doing this, is just some simple light diffuser panel. I like to double layer mine. I do see people single layered. I like to double layer because I like it to be wet. So we put that in there so I can put pressure on it. And it is sinking a little bit, so I may take out just a little more. Because what you don't want, the idea is, of this incubation method, is we're creating a setup where you'll never get water on the eggs, but you'll always have enough moisture. So, the idea is, there you go. See, I can push on that, and it's not getting down directly into the water. But if you look at how much moisture is in there, you can still see that water on the bottom, right? So what's going to happen in this system, and why it's so successful, is water is kind of like a live by the sword, die by the sword when it comes to egg incubation. What I mean is you want as much humidity as you can have. 99% is what you're looking for, right? Excuse me, that parallel dust gets in your throat a little bit. But if your eggs get wet, they die. See the catch-22 there. So people will do mixes, and there's commercial products out there like Hatch Right and things like that that you can use. I know people who put it directly into coconut. I know people put it directly into perlite. I know people who use sponges. And there's different ways of doing this. But you got to find what works best for you. And for me, this has worked great. Now, most of you know about my first clutch. So when we set it up, I didn't do this. And I used Hatch Right. And I'm not trying to trash the product. It was probably my fault. And I put the eggs directly in the Hatch Right, just like the bag said. And I checked them and they were dimpled. I'm like, oh, it's too dry. So everything says it's too dry. Even the Hatch Right bag says add a little bit of water. Everybody said, oh, the eggs should plump back up. Well, they didn't. They didn't plump back up. They didn't get worse. They didn't plump back up. I'm like, oh, my eggs aren't plumping back up. I better add some more water. Oh, man, they're still not plumping back up. This is every couple of days. Better add some more water. Guess what happened? The perlite got too absorbed. The egg soaked up moisture, and all my eggs died. It was pretty freaking heartbreaking. And I said, fuck that. I'm never having that happen again, right? So what we started doing is I changed this incubation method. I made some adjustments to make this thicker to keep it out the moisture, and now I don't have to worry about it. I can have as much water in there as I want to help with the humidity, and then my eggs are going to hold up just perfect. Put the lid on, put the eggs in, stick it in the cooker. Problem solved, right? One thing to watch out for when you incubate, okay? These lids. And those two, there's no saran wrap. I'm not doing any of that shit. You don't have to if you do it this way. If you're really worried about keeping your humidity locked in, then you're going to need to saran wrap this and do all that. I use this lid right there. Done. But you do have to watch these lids getting moisture on them from condensation. If it does that, or if your saran wrap or anything gets moisture on this hanging down in the middle and dripping on your eggs, guess what's going to happen? They're going to absorb that moisture and they're probably going to die. You don't want moisture raining on your eggs. A couple ways you can do to prevent that. We use a very large open water chamber, not water bottles, like a water chamber that can actually vent. We keep it very full. That raises the overall humidity in our incubator, which means that the humidity inside the incubator and the humidity inside the tub, well, they're still different. They're not vastly different. I'm not running a really dry heat in an incubator and a really wet heat in a tub and then going, oh shit, I'm having this major problem because my eggs are dying from this condensation. If you don't have room for that, another trick is put something underneath here that sticks your thing up like that. What that will do is that little tilt's not going to affect your eggs as long as you got them set up. They're not going to roll. And then as condensation forms on the lid, because inside your lid is angled slightly, drops form, water runs downhill, recycles back in, right? It doesn't drip on your legs. It's going to go to the lowest point. So that's another trick you can use. Both of those will work pretty well. I've used both successfully. I prefer the water chamber. I just don't get the condensation in the first place that way to the point that it's a problem. All right, that is how we set up an incubation tub. See? Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Kurt, anything you want to add?
Do you have any eggs touching the side?
Oh, that is a very good point. So, this is also... I like to knock all that stuff out of there because it's wet. There we go. You don't. The reason you don't is the same thing. So these sides are going to get moisture on it. Mine already has moisture from pouring that crap out. And it's going to get condensation even with our method on the sides. I don't usually get the big, huge raindrops on the top, but I will get it on the sides. If your eggs are touching the sides, they're going to absorb that moisture. And again, it can be harmful for your eggs. I like using a bigger chamber than I need. A lot of people will use a smaller chamber. But this allows me to make sure each one of the eggs have room, nothing's touching the side, plenty of space, and it's just how I like to do it. I do use some smaller ones for some smaller clutches, but this is kind of how we roll on these larger clutches. Larger clutches is this for probably 6 eggs and up is necessary. I fit as many as I think 10 eggs in one of these. Pretty good. Now, one thing is they're not super tall, so I do end up usually having to separate my eggs. I don't separate unless I need to. But if you ran less of the substrate and everything in there, you'd have a little more space and not have to separate. I have ran into it where I had to shrink these down before. Again, some of the reasons why I was trying to get like a standard amount of stuff I was using. So, all right, Kurt, anything else?
Nope.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Too bad she's not done because we pulled the eggs for you, but we really didn't plan that. Proof we didn't plan that. Had I planned it, we would have waited till she was done and done a, look, eggs, and then we'd have pulled them and set them up. But we want to get this in the cooker, get it up to temp while she's finishing up, and so we won't be able to show that. But maybe we'll do the pulling on Patreon. What do you think, Kurt?
Maybe.
Pulling on Patreon. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.